Hello, welcome to part 1 of our Kazumi Basics Guide. Reminder that this is game version 4.2. This first part will be essential tools, which will include essential moves, grabs, punishers, and basic combos. In part 2, we'll talk about common game plan elements and recommend some players to watch, as well as cap it off with a character summary. For beginners, note the resource links in the video description below. I've included several you should check out. Be sure to at least learn notation so that you can follow along easier. Now let's talk about the final Mishima. Kazumi only has one stance, which isn't overly complicated, but still deserves a little more detail, so we will save that for part 2. Kazumi's 1 and 1-2 are standard, but she has the Mishima 1-1-2 and 1-2-2. You'll see 1-1-2 more often since you can poke with just 1-1 and confirm the final hit. 1-2-2 is normally just reserved as an alternate punisher since it does a little bit more damage but gives you plus frames instead of a knockdown and cannot be confirmed. Her 2-1 is also decent as a safe high mid poke string, big +7 on hit, although -5 on block. Standing 3 is a safe rangy I-15 mid. You have 2 natural combo options. 3-2 is your extremely safe but duckable option. 3-1 is your unsafe mid option. The utility of each is largely going to depend on your reads and what kind of punishers your opponent has available, so be observant. Standing 4 is a safe I-11 counter hit launcher. Hers is a little bit more negative on block than your typical Magic 4, but still extremely useful as a quick counter hit tool. She has few counter hit launchers, so you'll be leaning on this pretty hard. Forward 2 is an I-17 Power Crush. It is a high, but fairly quick for a Power Crush, not to mention safe on block. Knockdown splat on hit, so overall, fairly useful. Forward 3 is an I-18 safe rangy mid knee poke. Can go to fly by pressing forward, which turns it into +8 on block and a massive +16 on hit, so you'll see that a lot. Forward 3 is -8, but since that is safe, it's up to you whether you want to try to get some fly pressure or just poke with it. It's useful either way, and you can do it from a dash as forward 3. Forward 4 is a safe I-16 homing tool, another high but still very fast for a homing move. Nothing to abuse since you'll get ducked for being too obvious, but still a useful tool. Down forward 1, a safe I-13 mid with crazy range and a chunky knockdown splatting ender for cover. On that note, down forward 1-2 is -13, so be careful finishing it. You will still have to let it rip every so often so they don't get too comfortable and you can steal back initiative, but by doing so this becomes utterly abusable. It helps too that down forward 1-2 is delayable. It doesn't track as well as it used to, but don't let that slow you down. This is one of your primary moves for poke harassment and particularly great for setups on hit thanks to the +6. Although the -3 on block is still decent for sidesteps and counter hits depending on how exactly they're responding. Both down forward 3 and down forward 4 are safe mid pokes, so they'll function in a similar manner. The main difference is that down forward 3 is a tad faster and has more range, but down forward 4 is better on block and hit and tracks better, although only really to her left. Be sure to sprinkle in a bit of both, and if you want, back 3 is kind of in between the two. Down 1 is another safe, quick mid poke. Second hit for cover, which is important since down 1 alone is -9 on block. Down 1-2 is -13 on block, and it's only a natural combo on counter hit, but it does big damage if you happen to land it. Kazumi is lucky enough to have both a generic toe kick and her own version. Generic is faster and a tad better tracking, but her alternate tracks well too and does a little bit more damage, although a little bit slower. You'll also see Kazumi sprinkle in some down 3 for good measure. Use whichever you like, just be sure to at least use some of them since they're going to help you control the match. Down back 3 is an I-17 low poke, not a lot of damage and -14 on block, but fast and +2 on hit, which is really nice. Not much advantage as the next move we'll talk about, but again it is quicker so it has the advantage there. Down back 4 is an I-20 low with solid tracking, only -12 on block, good damage, big +4 on hit. This is your primary low. It's not uncommon to see tons of just this mixed with a couple of mids like down forward 1 and forward 4. It's just a crazy good lockdown low. Down back 1+2 is a safe sway back power mid, somewhat slow at I-24, and the sway back is by no means oppressive, but it's only -4 on block, big +7 on hit, and slams on counter hit. Nothing to abuse, but a nice tool all the same. Back 2 is a safe I-15 mid homing tool, functions similarly to forward 4, but it's worse on block, not as much advantage on hit, and does less damage. The big advantages are that it's slightly faster and a mid. Just be aware that your turn is pretty much over on block. Back 4 is an I-19 power mid, -13 on block, but it has good range and enough pushback that you can space it so that a lot of common 10 frame and 12 frame punishers will miss. You'll see this on Oki sometimes since it's a counter hit launcher so it can nab get up kicks, but you can still use it from neutral if your spacing is on point. Kazumi doesn't get plus frames from her Hunting Hawk like Heihachi does, but it is still very much a safe, low-crushing mid-mid string with follow-ups, one of which will tailspin juggle. Even on block, it's a nice 0, although it is possible to confirm the final hits if you land the first one. Biggest downsides are speed and tracking, but still a useful string since her hop knee is punishable and iffy at times. Speaking of, Kazumi's I-15 launcher is a knee, so good against many parries, but also has a notoriously terrible hitbox. Still, unless you want to or need to settle for 3-2 as your I-15 move, this is what you got. 3-2 also doesn't low crush, so up forward 4 will always have a place. Forward forward 4 is a safe I-20 mid launcher. Each Mishima has a version of this, although Kazumi's is the only one that is forward forward 4 instead of forward forward 3, but having forward forward 3 open is nice so that she can do her forward 3 from a dash. Either way, this is a super common mix-up tool for you to use since you'll note it's the same speed as down back 4, so really scary from a dash. Running 1 and running 2 are really strong running moves that work well together, both I-15, running 1 being a high that gives big plus frames on block, running 2 being your mid and still very much safe with pushback. Both will knock down splat. Running 2 is more common just because of range and the fact that it's a mid, but running 1 can be really good too, especially at the wall. Many players build their entire game around running 2, so don't feel bad abusing it. Kazumi's Rage Drive is just a safe version of her forward forward 2, which we didn't mention earlier because you normally only see it if someone messes up running 2. But her Rage Drive gives a full launch on hit instead of just the knockdown. Nothing overpowered, essentially just a quick, safe mid launcher that you can use. And finally, grabs. Not much to speak of here since Kazumi only has the 2 normals and a single 1+2 break, which is down forward 1+2. That does wall splat, so if you notice a weakness there, use it. However, none of her grabs even provide break benefits like a side switch or something like that, so your best hope is to be wonky with your grab timing and maybe you can sneak one in. Certainly not a strength for her though. This brings us to the end of part 1. You should now know all the basic tools that you need to get started with Kazumi and play some matches. In part 2, we'll talk more about other aspects of her game plan to help put it all together. Expect that here in a couple of days. And with that, thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications here on YouTube so that you get alerted when a new video drops. Twitch and Twitter links are also down below. Lastly, huge thank you to our patrons. The more support we have, the more resources we can devote to channel content. So again, I can't thank everyone enough for considering supporting the Patreon. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.